Good morning and welcome to the Oasis Center for Spiritual Living, where we come together as one, providing spiritual tools for daily living. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Reverend Tucker. I am the senior minister here at the Oasis, and I have this great team that God has provided me that I always like to introduce. First off is my faithful assistant, Faith. And Faith has been my assistant since the day she was born, pretty much. We used to sit her on the podium when I would do announcements when we were in a facility. And she kind of grew up doing that. And then she started doing affirmation cards at the end with her sister. And now she's been my official assistant for 5 years. So behind the scenes, she's the one that's answering all of you when you say hi, good morning, hello. I always look to see if there's something I need to add, but for the most part, she grew up with me, so she knows me better than I know myself sometimes. So she's also our singer, and today we are singing The Power of Women by Karen Drucker, which I think you're going to love. Not that there's only women tuning in, but it's a great song. Whether you're a woman or a man, just fill in the blank. If you're a man, say The Power of Men. That works for me. Oh, goodness. All right. Thank you, Faith. We love you. Thank you for being here. And then there is my partner in crime, the wise and powerful Oz, who has been with me basically since 1998. We lost him for a few years when we left our facility and he moved to Florida, and we didn't do church for a while. And now, because of this technology, we have him back with us. At the moment, he's actually in Wisconsin, where he goes every summer, which I cannot blame him. I don't think summers in Florida are very comfortable. So anyway, he's here with us. He will be praying us in and praying us out, and he'll be available at the very end for our 1 minute miracle, and I'll talk more about that later. So thank you for being here. We love you, Oz. I could not do this without either one of them, really. This is just, this is an awesome experience to be able to have them on my team. All right, and today we're going to be talking about the force is strong with you. That's all I'm saying right now. For those of you who know what Star Wars is, you're going to get it. But those that you don't know what Star Wars is, I'll have to explain later. All right. So as I was saying, say good morning, hello, hi, however you want to greet us. When we're in a facility, I can look out and see who's here. I don't have that option with this software. It doesn't tell me who's viewing. It just tells me I've got a viewer. And so please say hi, hello, good morning, however you want to greet us. And if you're visiting us later, please say I stopped in, say hello, whatever you want to say, but just let us know that you did visit. It's nice for me to know who's tuning in. All right. I'm just nosy that way, right? All right. I'd like to invite, oh, yes, watch parties. If you would like to do a watch party with your friends, there is a watch party button. You just click on that, invite all your friends. It's a great way. Hi, Cindy. It's a great way for them to know what kind of services we provide on Sunday. And you can talk amongst yourselves without bothering anybody because you can message back and forth. So by all means, hit that watch party button and invite all of your friends. I invite you now to close your eyes, if that feels comfortable for you, and allow the service to uplift and inspire you as we move into our centering song.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
Presence of God right here, right now. For as we conceptualize God, it is all force, all energy, all things, all of it wrapped up in that one great presence that encompasses them all and that moves within us, in us as us. The presence of God right here is with me, with you, and with all that we see and all that we do. All of it happens within that one greater being. And I know that the force of that being is infinite and eternal and reaches out through each of us to each of us. One great flow of being. And I know that there is a good blessing in store for each and every one. And as this is so, I let it be with great thanks. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Oz. All right. This next song is basically the basis of our philosophy, which is we are all one. We are all connected by it, through it, as it. So I forgot to introduce my adjunct music team, who does not appear singing, but they provide us with karaoke files so that we can do music. And our choir used to do a lot of their music, which is Reverend Fairy Lane Silver and Karen Drucker. This next song is a Reverend Fairy Lane Silver song that she wrote when she was in practitioner training. And it is so indicative of what we believe. So if you don't know the words, learn them. It's a great way to remember that you're connected to all of life. And if you do know the words, sing it loud and sing it proud, because you can't bother anybody, right? Here we go.
We are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. I hear it and know it, my being. Spirit is all I am seeing. For God is all there is. Grateful am I to be living, open to what I receive, honoring what I've been given, sharing now what I believe. I remember the oneness around me. I surrender to infinite light, knowing the love that's surrounding me is within me by day and night. And we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. Yes, we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it.
We are definitely all one in it. So if you're here, please say hi, hello, good morning, however you'd like to greet us. When we're in a facility, I can look out and see who's here. I don't have that option with this software. So I appreciate you letting us know. Even if you're coming back later and looking at it, it's nice just to say hello so that I know who stopped by to check in. All right. If you like something you hear, whether that's something I say or Faith sings or Oz prays, by all means, use the thumbs up. Let us know you like it. If you love something, send us hearts, because we love to get love. And if something strikes you as very, very powerful, by all means, use the wow button. That kind of feedback lets us know when we're hitting the mark, so to speak. So please let us know what you think. Okay? All right. Without further ado, here is Faith singing The Power of Women by Karen Drucker.
Thank you.
we stand. We're making a difference when we join hands. It's the power of women. We'll heal this world. It's the power of women. The power of women. It's a goddess, it's a matriarch, it's a maid, it's a friend. Every color, every race, through the ages shown. Women have compassion, show the way. To the world of power, to show the way. To a world that's filled with peace and love, I hear you say. It's the power of women. United we stand, and we're making a difference when we join hands. It's the power of women. We'll heal this world. The power of women. The power of women. Power of women. As we stand in this circle, feeling our connection flow, we can feel the power move as we set our attention to reach to the soul and all right and wrong. Join in the sisterhood, lift our voice in song, and sing power of women. United we stand, and we're making a difference when we join hands. It's the power of women who will heal this world. The power of women. The power of women. Power of women. Got the power to change this. What you gonna do with it? We gotta realize that it's up to me and power. Every single day I'm gonna take the time to pray. Power. Gonna spread love and kindness to everyone along the way. Watch the power. The power of women. Power! What you gonna do with your power? What you gonna do? What you gonna do with your power? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do with your power?
Thank you. I love that song. We could just change it to "It's the Power of People," but it wouldn't sound the same way, but it's really that, like, when we unite, that's it, Thank you, sweetie. All right. So here we are. The force is strong with you. Do you know where that comes from? I remember many years ago, like it was in the 80s, actually, I think. I got laid off. And of course, our answer was to go see the first Star Wars episode, which was actually, I think, the 4th chapter that he started with the 4th chapter, but that was the first one that got put out. And I remember from that movie, the main thing that I remember from that movie was when people would leave each other, they would say, "May the force be with you." And the other person would say, "And with you." And I think about that all the time. Like, the force is always with us. I mean, maybe not George Lucas's version of it, but the force is always with us. So it doesn't really matter, but it's a nice saying, like, "May the force be with you." May you feel the force within you, something like that. I like that saying because the power flows through all of life. Ernest Holmes used to say, "There's a power for good in the universe and we can use it." And I argue with him about that. Well, he's not alive, so I can't really argue, but I argue with the concept of it because it's not that we can use it. It is that we do use it, but we can use it consciously. You'll hear me say that over and over again because we unconsciously use it all the time. And in our unconscious use of it, through the subjective material that is housed in our little computer, we create worlds that we're not happy with, right? We create circumstances that we don't like. And I know that sounds like blame, but it's not. Blame is something like, oh, look what I created. I got to live with it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about accepting responsibility, which says if I created it, I can uncreate it and create something else that I really love. So it's not that there's a power for good in the universe and we can use it. It is there is a power for good in the universe and we can use it consciously so that we can create the world we'd like to see. And since this power flows through all of life, including us, including the flowers, the trees, the animals, I see it very clearly in this cute little dog I have adopted. She's the cutest, sweetest little character. And so I see it really clearly how the power of God flows through her, because just when I'm feeling at my worst, she comes up with some really ridiculously cute thing that she does. And I just melt and I go, oh, and how can you be in a bad mood after that, right? So God flows through all of life. The power flows through all of life. I know when I'm sitting on my porch and I'm watching my trees and my flowers and the birds and the squirrels and even the rabbits, when I'm watching all of that going on around me, I'm really clear that God flows through everything, that the power of life flows through everything. Because if life didn't exist, there wouldn't be any life, right? And so I know that power flows through all of life. And I celebrate that every time I see it, because it reminds me how clearly the power flows through me as well. You'll notice as when we pray, we first recognize that God is simply all there is. There can be no power that is greater than God, or God wouldn't show up. And they can't equal each other. There can't be a power for good and a power for evil that is equal, because they would cancel each other out, right? And so since we see evidence of the power of God, we must accept that God is simply all there is, right? That's my way of arguing through that. And then the second step is unification, and that's where we recognize that the power of God, the life of God, the love of God, the essence of God flows through us, and we are connected by it through it. So that's the second step of our prayer. And what that does for us is that has us recognize, just like the song says, we are all one. It's not that we don't have our own individual personalities, obviously, but there is only one power, one presence, one life, and we partake of that. And so that second step of that prayer reminds us of that, reminds us that we are absolutely infused with that power of God that lives through us, the force, if you will. George Lucas created Star Wars in the 1970s. It didn't really come out until, I think it was like 1983 when I got laid off and went to see that. Because I know I got married in 1982, and I'm pretty sure I was still at Scientific Software then. Anyway, but I don't even know what his philosophical bent was. He originally created it for teenagers to give them something for their imaginations to work on that gave them something like a different world than what they experienced every day. But I think that he made his mark on not only the teenagers, but also us adults, because we started thinking about the force, right? In his version of the force, there was only some people that had strong force within them. And because of that, they were the ones who were going to be the Jedi. And so the knights, if you will, the knights of the realm in the future. And so they would have these teachers, these like Yoda and Obi-Wan, who were teachers of the Jedi, and they would teach people how to, these Jedi wannabes, they would teach them how to feel the force within them and utilize it. And it's kind of like what we do. in our philosophy, because we teach people how to access, feel, and utilize the power of God within us. So I see that correlation very clearly. Not probably everybody will, but in one of the movies, and I can't remember which one it was, Obi-Wan is teaching Luke to feel the Force while he's in this hood. He's having to use his, whatever they called those, saber light or whatever, to hit this ball that keeps running around, you know, and he has to feel it and then hit. And it's so funny. Han Solo's like, yeah, that doesn't exist, you know. He's totally in denial of all of that. But, you know, I remember watching that scene and thinking about how the power of God flows through us like that. And as long as we're doing kind of a hit and miss sort of, I'll meditate today, I won't meditate for another 6 months. I'll do some prayer today, I won't pray again for another year, you know, things like that. I'll only pray when I need God for something. As long as we're doing that hit and miss, we never have the opportunity to actually experience the force of God, the power of God, right? And so with great power comes great responsibility. And that's the other part of this, is that they were teaching the Jedi Knights that they would have to give their lives over to the Force and do what is necessary to protect the realm. And so I started thinking about that too. With great power comes great responsibility. And our responsibility, because we know how the power of God works within us, is we must watch what we say, think, and do, right? Not because there's heaven and hell. That's why we don't teach about heaven and hell, because I'm not good because I want to go to heaven or because I'm afraid of going to hell. I live a good life because I know, I feel it here. There's an alignment in me when I do the right thing. I feel it. So that to me is heaven on earth. And so as I walk through the world, I live my life in such a way that others will want to know my God. There are people around me sometimes who say to me, how can you be so nice to someone after they've done these awful things to you? And it's like, you know, I have to forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive. Now, that doesn't mean that I give them permission to come back in my life. It doesn't mean that at all. I always like to say, you know, if somebody burns your playhouse down when you were a kid, you could forgive them for doing that, but you wouldn't invite them back once you built a new playhouse. And I'm not inviting that person back into my life. I am just living my life as God wants me to, as an example of a representative, an agent of God, if you will. And so I always keep that in mind as I forgive. And as I deal with these people, I just, I try to remember that it's about God. It's not about me and it's not about them. It is about God. And so that's the responsibility that comes with this great power that we have, because it's so easy sometimes to think of ways in which we could use the power for evil. And trust me, you don't want to do that, because there are consequences. Everybody has free will. And everything is a choice. And it doesn't matter what your choice is, that choice always has consequences. It's real funny. A friend of mine said, are you saying that if I made the choice to marry this guy, then later on I had to deal with him, you know, being sick and taking care of him till the very end? And I'm like, yeah. You made a choice and there was a consequence. It's hard for her to accept that, but it's true. And sometimes the consequences are great consequences, right? It isn't always bad consequences, but everything that we do in our life is a choice. And because we have great power, we have great responsibility to use that power in such a way that we don't harm anybody. Dr. Ernest Holmes, our founder, used to also say that we are against no one or against nothing and for everything. Now, you might take that as like, oh, you're for murder, you're for, no. What we say is that we're not against a group of people. We're not against a way of life. We're not against any of that. We're for the right to express yourself however you want. Unfortunately, sometimes people make bad choices and they do suffer the consequences. I remember I had this friend when I was in high school, and I don't know how many of you know, but I was raised Jewish. And I had this friend in high school that was an Irish German guy who had a thing about the Fourth Reich. He was definitely trying to be a Nazi. And what was interesting, because I was dating his best friend, so that's how we got to be friends. But he used to say things all the time. And one day we were sitting in a restaurant, and I said, "Ralph, you do know that I'm Jewish, right?" And he had to stop and think about that, like, "Oh, I forgot," right? But the thing is that I connected with him. I think it was our 10-year anniversary, actually, or reunion. And he had married someone who we knew in high school. He had married her, and he had held her hostage in the house with guns. And the police actually had to come and pull him out. And he did 1.5 years in prison for it. And so we got on the subject of heaven and hell because he's a Catholic. He really believes in heaven and hell. And I was like, okay. I said, well, here's just something to think about. I said, do any of the people that you knew in prison seem like they're in heaven? Well, no. Do you think they are happy living in prison? He goes, no. I said, would you describe that as hell? Well, yeah. I said, okay, so hell is a state of mind while we're here on this planet. And it really kind of shifted his energy a little bit. He's since passed on, so we don't get in our talks anymore. But I think he has really, through his life, he really understood finally about all of that. And again, people would say to me, why do you even put up with him? And at that time, I didn't know anything about this philosophy, and I didn't have words for what I was trying to say. It was just, I don't know. I feel a need to show him a different way. Isn't that interesting? And then I end up in this philosophy, and that's pretty much it. Like, I feel a need to show people a different way. Sometimes that means they need to leave my life, but other times they can be in my life and I can show them a different way. And if they're willing to listen, if they're not willing to listen, then they need to go bye-bye. But I think that I don't harbor any resentment or any anger or hatred towards them, because God wants me to love as God loves. And so that's what my aim is. I'm not 100%. I'm never 100% on anything. I never want to be this figure that stands here and preaches to you from a place of, hey, I did it, you may not be able to get there, right? Because it's a work in progress. It has been my whole life. I just didn't understand why it was a work in progress for most of my life until I found this philosophy. But with great power comes great responsibility, and words are very powerful. So it's not only our actions and our deeds, but it's our beliefs and our words. For instance, one of the things I want you to stop saying, because we say it pretty frequently usually, is I can't afford it. When you say I can't afford it, see, the universe wants to give us everything. God wants to give us everything. Whatever you want to use, whatever word you want to use, great spirit, God, Allah, whatever word works for you, universe wants to give us everything we want. Okay. And so when I say I can't afford it, the universe says, yeah, you can't afford it. And we walk through our life not being able to afford things, not being able to afford the things that we really want. So instead, I want you to start saying, I choose not to spend my money that way, because that's really what it is. It's a choice. Again, we're back to choices. And I keep getting all these TikTok followers, even though I've never made a TikTok. I have something like 1,800 followers. I don't quite know how that happened, but I started following them back. And then there was this one tarot reader that asked me if I wanted a reading. And I said, I am watching my money right now, so no, thank you. And she said, well, I only ask for donations. How much could you donate? And I said, nothing right now. Thank you very much. And she said, well, it's just a small donation and it helps me do blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'm being very polite. I'm politely telling you no. Well, when do you think you might be able to do it? So I reported her and blocked her. And because I don't want to say to her, I can't afford it. You see, I was doing everything I could to avoid saying that. Right now I'm watching my money. Right now I'm, but I probably should have just said, I choose not to spend my money on those things, right? Because that's really what we need to get to, is every time we spend money, it is a choice on what to spend our money on. And sometimes that choice is medicine, and sometimes that choice is rent, and sometimes that choice is fun. But we have to understand that we are choosing to spend our money there. It's never that someone can't afford anything. It is never really that. It is what they choose to spend their money on. I remember years ago, we took a real estate class where you invest in real estate and then rent to people. And that was the gist of it. This lecturer got up there and he was saying, it's not that they can't pay their rent. It's that they chose to use their money for something else and now don't have the money for rent. And so if you look at that philosophy that he was teaching and the philosophy that we teach, it's very similar. It's not that you can't afford it. It's that you choose not to spend your money that way. Okay. So that's what I would prefer that you say from now on. Another one is money is hard to come by. Has anybody ever used that one? Well, that's a belief in struggle and strife. That's a belief that money doesn't grow on trees. Well, money is paper. Paper comes from what? Trees. Trees grow, right? So money does grow on trees. So when we say money is hard to come by, what we're basically saying is that money is not out in the world in abundance. It's hard to find it. It's hard to get it. It's hard to receive it. And so instead, we're going to say money comes to me easily and effortlessly. There's a ditty that Faith and I like to sing that's from Karen Drucker. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Yeah. So we sing that a lot because it's a great one to get stuck in your mind. Let that be a meme in your head for the next week, because money is coming to you easily and effortlessly. Why? Because there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it consciously. Why? Because with great power comes great responsibility. So you want to change your thoughts so you can change your world. And so you're going to get that as a meme stuck in your head. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. I like that little at the end. Good morning, Dawn. Another one I want you to stop saying is there's never enough. Think about that for a minute. If God is all there is, and if God is abundance, if God is prosperity, all you have to do is look around and you can see that there is abundance everywhere. There's abundance of trees. There's abundance of flowers. There's abundance of wildlife. There's abundance of, name it. There's an abundance of it. So why wouldn't there be an abundance of money, right? And there's never enough is about a belief that you're not enough, right? When you really think about it, that's what we're saying. I'm not enough. And so I want you to change that one instead of there's never enough to I live in an abundant universe and everything is provided for me. I have more than enough to share and to spare. Whatever you want to change that to so that you recognize that abundant universe that you are living in and that it is easy to be able to attract that to yourself and that you are making better choices with your money. We've never really been taught to be good stewards of our money, many of us. We've been taught either to hoard money so we don't spend any of it, in which case, when we hoard money, that comes from a lack mentality. And that lack mentality keeps us from being able to enjoy the abundance of the world, the abundance of God in the world. Or we spend it frivolously on fun and don't have enough money for our bills. So somewhere in between there is being good stewards of the money that we have been given. With great power comes great responsibility. With money comes responsibility. Now, I know that scares a lot of people. Like, oh my God, I don't want money because it's too much responsibility. The only responsibility you have in that situation is to use it wisely. Now, I remember we were in Hawaii one time, and Lynn kept going over my mentor minister, Dr. Kathy Vogt, and I were shopping, and Lynn went over and he kept petting the shirt in the Tommy Bahama store. And he kept going over and petting the shirt. And finally, Kathy said, "Why don't you just buy it?" And he goes, "It's $100. Now, this is back in like in the 90s, maybe early 2000s. "It's $100. And she said, "Does it have value for you?" And he stopped and he said, "Well, kind of." And she said, "If it has value for you, you are still being a steward of the money, a good steward of your money, if it has value and you buy it. What you don't want to do is go off buying like my mom used to do." My mom was interesting. I bought something the other day. I bought 2 foldable fans, and Lynn said to me, "Yeah, you're just like your mother buying these useless plastic things." And I said, "No, I'm not like Mom. I didn't buy one for everyone in the family." Because my mom loved to buy these little gadgets, and she would buy one for everyone in the family, and half the time they didn't work. I remember one time she bought this shoe closet thing, and it was a vinyl. Dawn, I don't know if you got one of these or not. I know Joey got one. It was one of these like quilted plastic on the outside, like a little container, and it had these cardboard shelves in it. So I went to put a shoe in it, and the cardboard shelf went. And so I thought, okay, I need to start at the bottom. So I started at the bottom, and I got about 3 or 4 shelves up, and they all went down. And so I realized at that moment it was useless. And Mom bought one for everybody in the family. And it was like, "Mom, stop buying this stuff. It doesn't work." So there's that kind of frivolous buying that is not being a good steward of the money. She thought it was a nice gift that she wanted to give. But being a good steward is about looking at the value for what you're spending and determining whether or not that has good value. And, God bless my mother. She was raised very, very poor. And so when she had money, it was kind of like, well, there was a couple things operating. One was, "Oh my God, I have money." Another one was, "I have to get rid of this money." Not consciously. She wasn't thinking that way, but underneath in that subjective mind, that computer that we store all that information in, was this script that said, "Must get rid of the money, must get rid of the money, must get rid of the money," so that I can return to the state that I am familiar with. And we do that. That is part of the process of unconscious creation. So there's a power for good in the universe, and we can use it consciously instead of using it unconsciously, because then we are creating from beliefs, and it never actually gets into the conscious mind. So we never really participate on a conscious level in what we have created. So with great power comes great responsibility. We're going to change what we say, what we do, what we think, what we believe. And many times money is a really good trigger for us to discover what our beliefs are, so that they come up for healing and we can heal them, right? Because beliefs are not all bad. There's good beliefs, but we need to discern between the beliefs that we want to keep those, the ones we want to retrain, and the ones we want to get rid of altogether. That's the process. And since everything is energy, money is energy too. There's a lot of talk going on TikTok right now about the vibration, that we are being up-leveled in vibration right now. And because everything is energy, we are energy too. And so when we up-level our vibration, it means, number one, we are more creative, we are more powerful, but it also means that we have more responsibility, right? Because we've been up-leveled to that vibration. I tend to want to focus on changing my vibration to be in alignment with how God vibrates, right? God vibrates at the frequency of abundance and prosperity, not at the frequency of lack and limitation. God vibrates at the frequency of unconditional love, not hatred and resentment, right? God vibrates at the frequency of perfect health, not of illness and disease. God vibrates at that frequency. So in my world, what I am trying to accomplish, or what I'm working to accomplish, try doesn't get you anything. Have you ever tried to pick up a pencil? You either pick it up or you don't. As Yoda used to say, either do or not do, no try. Right? Another Star Wars reference. But the truth is that what I'm working towards is raising my vibration to the level where I'm vibrating at the frequency of prosperity. I'm vibrating at the frequency of unconditional love. I'm vibrating at the frequency of perfect health. Because there's a divine blueprint that lives within us in our DNA of what divine perfection, what wholeness and perfection looks like. And when I can vibrate at that frequency, I can now allow that frequency to be the truth about me, right? The truth about me is that divine perfection and wholeness. The truth about me is that I am unconditional love. The truth about me is that I am abundant and prosperous because I'm now vibrating at the frequency of God. You see? That's what it's all about. In this philosophy, that's what we focus our attention on. That's what we place our intention to be. That's why we don't petition God. We don't ask. We don't beg. Instead, we claim our truth because we are vibrating at the frequency of that truth, that it has already happened, that it is already done. Okay? So let's go back to the very beginning here. The force is strong with you, with all of you. There isn't a separate class of people that the force is strong with. Everyone has the force within us, and it is powerful with us if we will allow it to be. Again, you're learning to vibrate at the frequency of that force. And you don't have to put a helmet on so you can't see anything and try to aim at this moving object. You don't have to do that. What you have to do, or I don't like to have to make somebody feel like they have to do something, but if you want your world to change, if you want to be able to experience prosperity, abundance, wholeness, health, and unconditional love, what it feels like to be unconditionally loved, if you want to have those experiences, then you do have to change your thinking. Change your thinking, change your life. Another famous Dr. Ernest Holmes quote, change your thinking, change your life. So this week, I want you to remember that the force is strong in you. I want you to think about everything that you say. When you're tempted to say, I can't afford that, say, I choose not to spend my money on that right now. When you are tempted to say, money is hard to come by, say instead, money comes to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Feel that power, power, right? And when you're tempted to say there's never enough, remember, there is always plenty. Look around you at the abundance of the universe. It is ever present. Everywhere you look, you will see an abundance. That could even be an abundance of cars, an abundance of clouds, an abundance of stars. Whatever you look at, you can see an abundance of it. So this week, will you practice that with me? The force is strong within me. Let's have a prayer. There is only one life, one power, one presence, one being. And this one presence, this one being, this one power, this one love, this one life is God. God is all there ever has been, all there ever will be, and all there is right here, right now. That is where I find myself, in the midst of God. My very essence, my very life, my very being. It is who and what I am. And every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that ancient wisdom of the ages that flows through me, as it flows through all of life. So I know that same truth to be so for this divine team that God has provided me, for Lynn and for Oz and for Tina and for Faith and for Karen and for Elaine. For we are one in the power and presence of God. We are in it, and it is in us. It runs through us like a river. It is who and what we are. And so, I know the same truth to be so for every person here, whether that be in real time or later on. For we are connected by it, through it, as we are to all of life. There are no exceptions. The power of God runs through it all. The life of God runs through it all. The love of God runs through it all. So there is no place where one begins and the other leads off. We are connected by it, through it, as it. And every thought, every action, every deed is indeed guided and led by that ancient wisdom of the ages that is God flowing through us effortlessly. Mitakuye Oyasin. We are all one, all my brethren. And so this week is blessed right now. I bless it with a knowingness and awareness of how the force within us, the power within us, flows through us, whether we're conscious of it or not. And we make this week about the conscious use of that. Through changing our thoughts, changing our beliefs, up-leveling our emotions, changing our vibration to be in sync with God. And we allow it to flow through us so perfectly, so beautifully in this coming week. As we claim our power. I know the same truth is so for any name that is in the ministry of prayer right now. Because I know whatever condition someone is experiencing, God is the power underneath that has more power than that condition itself. That has more oomph, more force, more life, more love, more health than any condition we are experiencing. So I pull back the veil and I reveal that truth here and now in their names as I claim it for them as good and very good. Knowing that it is done, my heart fills with gratitude. To know it is done, to be in service this way, as I just let this be. And so it is. Amen. Do I have to come back? It's always so interesting to come back because I always want to stay right in prayer. But you do have a life, you know. You have to live it. Can't just go away. All right. Right now is our opportunity to receive your gifts, tithes, and offerings, and your opportunity to share in gratitude that which you have already seen in physical form and that which you have created in the mind of God and yet have not perhaps not seen in physical form yet. The process is the same because gratitude is that magnetic force that draws to you more and more of your good. So in a minute, I'm going to ask you to go to www.oasiscsl.org and bless the money that you are contributing today. But first, I want to talk about contribute, because after the affirmation, there's a contribute now button. And what you're contributing to is not rent. We don't have a facility. You're not contributing to utilities, and it's not about salaries. It's not about any of that. It really is about my wanting to reach out, our wanting. As a church, I believe that's really what we want, is to reach out into the global world and uplift and inspire people. And in order to do that, we have to market. And unfortunately, marketing takes money. So while our vision and our mission is to reach out into the world and uplift and inspire everyone, one person at a time, I know, we need the finances to be able to do that. So I wanted you to know that that's what you're contributing to. We already have an audience in the UK, an audience in Germany, and an audience in the Netherlands and Holland. But I would like to be able to reach a little bit further into the global world and allow God's message to uplift and inspire as many people as possible. So help me with that, would you please? So right now I'm going to ask you whether you're joining us in person or in real time or coming later. Please now go to www.oasiscsl.org. And about 2/3 down the page, you will find an offering affirmation. Please say that with me right now. This perfect gift is spirit in form, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give, and joyously I receive. And so it is. Now, hit that contribute now button and make a difference in the world. All right. First, let me talk about our ministry of prayer, our God Squad. We have this wonderful team of licensed practitioners from coast to coast. We have some here in Colorado. We have some in California. We have one in Florida right now who's in Wisconsin. We have someone in Minnesota. Did I say California already? I don't remember. We have someone in Florida that's there all the time. We have someone in Connecticut. And so I really want us to remember that there is a team of licensed practitioners from coast to coast that are in support of your prayer requests. Let's put it that way. And we call this team, they are the healing arm of the church, but we call them our God Squad. And so if you place a prayer request in, they will pray every day on that request for a week. They're also available by appointment for a fee for spiritual guidance, because we know that there are times when it is more difficult to see the spiritual truth. And so we're here to show you that spiritual truth while you can't see it for yourself, and teach you how to see it for yourself. So that is what the appointment for spiritual guidance looks like. All right. In the meantime, we have this wonderful team of licensed practitioners who will pray on your requests every day for a week. So if you would like prayer for something, please put it in the comment section. If you don't want it to be public, you can direct message either Faith or myself, and we will make sure that it gets on the private group page for the God Squad. Now, that being said, you do not have to be a licensed practitioner to participate in the God Squad for that purpose and that purpose only. If you are willing to do affirmative prayer, meaning no asking, no begging, no beseeching, but affirmative prayer knowing it is already done, if you are willing to do that every day for a week, and you are willing to follow through on that every day for a week, and keep those requests confidential, type yes in the comments section, and Faith will add you as a member of the God Squad to that private Facebook page. Only the God Squad can see that page. If you would like to be part of the greater community, our online community, where we post everything before we actually post it to the world, you can type more in that comment field, and she will add you to our public-facing group page. Now, Oz is available for our last 1 minute miracle after the service. And what that is a time where you can just share with him what you're experiencing. He will stop, drop, and pray with you right then and there. It is not a time for counseling. It is just a time for prayer. So you can reach out to him through video chat. If he doesn't answer right away, it might mean that he's on the phone with someone else at the moment. So call back later. But please know that he's available for that. Okay. All right. And then we have Brooks and Bailey. Brooks and Bailey. Dawn was on here earlier. Dawn Brooksberger was on here earlier. These mala beads that I'm wearing right now are amethyst. So they're about $60. They make really wonderful product. And they have mala beads, necklaces, and bracelets. They have some other bracelets. I love the clasps on their other bracelets because they're a circle with a bar going through. And in almost 3 years, I've only had it fall off my wrist twice, which is a record for me. So you can get a hold of them through brooksandbailey0307@gmail.com. All the proceeds go to Rocky Mountain Lab Rescue. And excuse me, they also have a Facebook page now. And I try to, when they're going to be doing an event, I try to repost that as many places as I can. So be on the lookout for some of that stuff so you can I know they have mala beads. The necklaces are like 108 beads, and they have them anywhere from $30 on up, depending on what stone you want, what gemstone you want. And the bracelets have 104 or 54, I believe. And so the Hindus and the Buddhists use these mala beads to do their mantras. So they move one bead at a time through their fingers. And they know that they have done their mantras as many times as they're supposed to. So I always say this is a great way for us to do our affirmations, because I ask you to do 100 affirmations a day when you're doing affirmations. So a necklace is perfect for that, or a bracelet twice, right? Excuse me. So definitely check them out. Buy their stuff. It is excellent quality and done with so much love. So there you go. All right, Miss Faith.
And please check out my metaphysical shop. We do intention jars and bath salts to help you work on whatever intention you are currently working on. And I'll show you my example from this last week as well. The website is unfortunately down, but you can order still through us through Instagram and Facebook. Just DM us or message us, and I will get that sent to you guys. Just a heads up. I might be moving soon, so it might take a little bit, but I will let you know when you message us as well about roughly when it would be sent out. So please check us out. And then this one is the one that I currently made since I'm moving. It's a home protection jar. We also have kits for you to make them yourself. But this is a newer one that I have worked on for myself. And I'm really excited to be able to put it in my new house. It's really cute for decor as well as working on whatever manifestation you're working on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we also have an adjunct to that with Angel Renee, who has an Etsy store. And she has intention candles and tea bags that you can put in your bathtub that have all these wonderful herbs that the smell helps you focus. And so you can work on your intent that way. So check her out. All of her information to check that out is in the comments section. Faith has already provided that. We love to acknowledge we love to support those who support us. And as I mentioned before, all of our music comes from Reverend Fairy Lane Silver. Well, not all of it, most Reverend Fairy Lane Silver and Karen Drucker. Reverend Fairy Lane Silver travels all over the country singing and playing guitar, and she has no way to update her website, so she can't figure out how to tell you how to pay for everything. So you have to contact her by email, which is on the website. And she carries around the CDs and her DVDs or whatever in the trunk of her car, and then she'll send them to you. And she's very good about making sure that happens in a timely fashion. So support her, please. And then Karen Drucker, who has gifted us with her entire collection. Her website works. You can pay for it right there. You can buy a song. You can buy a CD, songbook. Some of the songbook pages even have American Sign Language if you would like to learn how to sign something. So anyway, and then check out our website, oasiscsl.org. There you're going to find videos of the last 3 years' sermons and audio files of the sermons before that. Oz is on there if you need to get a contact with him. A lot of our church members are on there in various events. So you can kind of see what our spiritual family looks like. My ordination is there. Lynn's ordination is there. We are also on YouTube and SoundCloud. YouTube has the videos from the last 3 years, and SoundCloud has the audio files from years prior. So go there and look at all of that. Just keep in touch with us, okay? All right, let's move into our closing song.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And I know that the same force that steers the stars is acting in each of us, moving and animating our lives as we move through time and space. This is a blessing, and I give thanks that it is so, and I let it be. And so it is.
And so it
So
is.
it
Thank
is.
you, Oz. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I know there's 1,000 things you could be doing on a Sunday morning. We are blessed that you are here with us. Tune in next week and every week, every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Until next week, we love you. Thank you for being here. Stay safe, wear a mask, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.